Who would like to begin to introduce yourself and your relationship to this camp?
My name is, I go first.
Okay.
My name is Zeilberger. I was in Jungfernhof from November, beginning of December in 1941 till the end of Jungfernhof, when Jungfernhof was dissolved. And then we were shipped to the ghetto in Riga. And at the present time, I'm 93 years old, what I mentioned before. And I live outside of New York, in Cedarhurst, New York, and I have a family. I have 3 children and 3 grandchildren, and I'm in pretty good shape for the shape I'm in.
I'm Fred Leser. I was also like Fred, not quite as long with my mother in Jungfernhof. My mother worked in a colony, Arbeiter colony for women. The name of the Kolonnenführer was Billig, Frau Billig. Und wie gesagt, I worked in a Knaben-boy Arbeiter thing with Arilade, and there was a guy named Justin, und da war Fred, und da waren noch ungefähr 6 other boys. Then I went to Jungfernhof, from Jungfernhof to Kaiserwald, KZ Kaiserwald, and then to Stutthof. Then with my mother, then I was separated at the beginning of Stutthof because I went to men's camp and my mother to women. I never saw her again. And then I was lucky to get to, what was it? What was the name of the next camp?
I don't know, Bogram.
Bogram, and I worked there and built U-boats. And as far as I remember, the direction of the camp was Mr. Glückstein and Herr Zeilberger, Fred's father. And from Bogram, we went on a march and were stopping at a camp called Rieben, and that was to be my last term. I was a couple of days before freezing to death and starving, but one moment I woke up between all those corpses, and one guy said, "The SS is gone." And we heard already for days thunder of the heavy weapons, the cannons. And then the Russians came. And I got to talk to some Russian Jewish officers, and they gave us some tips. We were 5 boys, and we occupied a peasant house. There were only an older woman and a younger woman, and they nursed us back to Herbert. We stayed there for a few months, and the Russian had not touched anything in the village, so they had chicken and pig, and they were happy to have us boys because we protected them from the Russians, who were in the evening drunk with vodka. And so everything, but yeah, up to that, and then my rest of my life started and after.
We arrived December 1941, Nuremberg shipment from Bavaria we were in the camp for a short time, may have been days to a couple of weeks, and then we were transferred to the Riga ghetto, from which another odyssey began, because we were then taken out of the ghetto because my father was an auto mechanic and he had many of his students from Nuremberg with him, and they were made to fix German army vehicles. So until, pretty close to the middle of 1943, that's what he did, and we went with him into Russia itself. Then we came back to Riga, where we were put into the civil prison, men's prison. Stayed there for about 3 months, and then were smuggled back into Germany, which I believe to be near Berlin, where we were surrendered to the authorities. The people smuggling us were, to my knowledge, German army. Certainly they wore uniforms. The judge separated us. My father went to Bergen-Belsen, where he died, and our mother and the two of us went to Ravensbrück, the only women's camp, where we were from end of 1943 to or beginning 44 till February 1945, at which point we were shipped by cattle car to Bergen-Belsen, where the British rescued us, and the rest is history.
My name is Herbert. I originally came from Würzburg, and the first thing I remember,
I remember you.
I don't remember anybody.
He remembers you.
He remembers me.
Yeah, you took care of sheep, no?
Of what?
Of sheep.
Sheep,
Cows.
animals.
Cows and sheep, right?
Sheep.
That was the first we came to Jungfernhof, and Jungfernhof was transferred into a cattle farm or sheep farm, and we used to take care of them. And
Yeah. I remember that. You were a little boy, yeah.
the thing that I remember very well, there was a little brook there, and every day a little old lady, she looked like she was 100, came with a pot, and she had some soup in there for us, and she never spoke a word to me, and I never spoke a word to her. She only brought us food, and she left. That's the only thing I remember about her. And many times I think about, why didn't I go back there and look for that little old lady? But I, many things that I should have done and could have done and didn't do. That was one of my big shortcoming. But in Jungfernhof, as far as I'm concerned, it was not bad for us because we were well taken care of. And even though, if I remember back, there was shooting and was killing, but also good parts. My mother made hot water for people in the kitchen, and I don't remember how we kept alive there. But then the camp was taken apart, and they sent us to Riga ghetto. And we lived in Riga ghetto, I don't remember how much time, but there we lived in one room, my father, my mother, and myself. And we got a certain amount of ration, and we lived there till one day they took us and we went to Stutthof. Stuttgart was very for winter, was cold in the winter time, and many people froze to death. And every morning we had to stay in a appel and were counted. And then one day they gave us one loaf of bread and we were marching. And what we later found out, we were marching somewhere to get killed. But the Russians in the meantime came and we never made it that far. But one morning we woke up and all the guards were gone and the Russians came and they took over and gave us food and brought us back to normality.
I am Sam Stern, just to get that on the record, and I am not muted as I previously was. Peter, my brother, who is 3 years older than I am, and I am 84, pretty well laid things down. There's a lot there that I do not remember, and some things that I do remember. Just to complete the cycle, we were liberated by the British, and after that liberation, we returned to Nuremberg and finally wound up in New York, United States in 1947. And we've been in the United States since then. I am the youngest survivor of Jungfernhof. We arrived there in early December of 1941, prior to our arrival, based on history that I've read. 3,000 Jews who had been brought from Berlin were executed to make room for further shipments, and my brother, mother, and father were included in that. And again, throughout the war and after the war, we 3 survived. We were 4 when we were first put in the camp, and then the 3 of us, miraculously, whatever miracle means, statistically impossible events, the 3 of us survived and lived in the United States after the war. My mother died what I get called a natural death. She did not reach her 70s, so she died quite young. And my brother and I have done very well in terms of being able to live in the United States. We're both professionals, and in spite of everything that happened, we're still here and intend to remain here.
And I remember very well and think about it many times, why we didn't escape, so to speak, from Jungfernhof. Because
Impossible.
a couple of guards on the road, there was nobody there. We could have gone out of the camp and walk away without being stopped by anybody.
We are surrounded by people who talked only Latvian. Of all of the people in Jungfernhof that I know, only one person, one woman who spoke Latvian, nobody else. They were not friendly toward Jews. Once there was an escape, they caught them, they brought them back to Jungfernhof. We all had to go on an appel and witness the hanging. They put him on a tree. I used to know his name, but I forgotten. So escape was impossible. I only want to say that my mother and I said, if we ever be liberated from here, nobody would believe us the stories we saw here, you know. And we said, if we are by miracle, we should be survived and separated, we meet again in Hamburg. That's why I went from, when I was well enough physically, I went to Hamburg and came back to the broken city of Hamburg. And I had uncles and aunts there who lived in Mischehe, and my uncle mixed marriages. And my aunt took me for the 4 years I was there as a son. And I worked in construction, and but the Nazis were there. The Germany had lost the war, but the Nazis were there.
Würzburg was about 90% destroyed. So the few Jewish people who came back from different places, we all lived in a Krankenhaus, in a hospital, an old age home, Jewish old age home. And that was not destroyed. And we lived there till in 1947. When we came to the United States in January 47, we came to the United States and we came as war orphans because that time President Truman signed, you didn't need an affidavit. And we, even so, my father was one of 13 sisters and brothers, and about half of them lived here. They survived. They came here in the 1930s and we came here and we lived in this home till in January 47 we came to the United States.
And I still use the word miracle, that it's a miracle that we had this meeting, that we came together.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we should stop. And I want to thank you again for all of your participation. Every single person on this call contributed. Every single person was able to tap those memories and to be present.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please stay in touch. I do respond to emails, and you have each other's email if you want to reach out to each other.